Hello there, Jerome here, and in this video I wanted to do something different, which is why I chose to do a 50 facts about me, in which I'm going to share some more about my personal life and me as a person. Now, before I do that, please remember the reasons why you subscribe to my channel, because some things that I say may not agree with what you think, but luckily for you, I will continue on making videos as I used to do. This is just a sort of personal video that I always wanted to do. So let's get started with the first fact about me, which is that I'm a loner. I like to be alone and I really need some alone time, especially after being social for a long time after each other. The second fact about me is that I am a big Harry Potter fan. I think it's the best story ever written, and I've read all the books at least 6 times, some even 10 or 12 times. And also, of course, I've watched all the movies, but I'm a bigger fan of the books. I dislike traditions, especially if it comes to holidays such as Christmas, New Year's Eve, or even birthdays, especially my own. I simply don't see why you have to celebrate this every single year. It's nothing special in my opinion. As a child, I was a big Star Wars fan. I also saw the last movie and I thought it was awesome. I've got a measured IQ of 135 and I did a professional IQ test with Mensa to prove that. Now, of course, IQ or intelligence isn't everything, it's just a number, but I think that it did teach me a lot about myself as a person, and it really helped understand a couple of things in my life. Lego was one of the things that I was absolutely addicted to as a child, and I think I played with it until I was about 13 or even 14 years old. I think it's still amazing. My Myers-Briggs personality type is INFJ, which is the rarest type there is, especially in men, and I think that getting to know what personality type, much like my IQ, was very helpful to get to know myself a little bit better, and I definitely recommend you to take a Myers-Briggs personality test, which is free to do online and it can teach you a lot about your personality. Up until the age of about 16, I wanted to do something with animals, take care of animals, and eventually it turns out that I do take care of animals, basically as a nurse, so for the humankind, which is also an animal. I've never smoked a cigarette, and in fact I've never even touched one, and I also don't drink, and I never have done that. So, well, apart from a couple of sips maybe, but that's about it. I've never used drugs, although I'm not really opposed to soft drugs, the use of soft drugs, not that I do it myself, but I'm actually more tolerant towards that than towards smoking or drinking alcohol like crazy. I have a tic disorder. If you don't know what that is, then Google it. However, you cannot really see it in any of my videos because I actually don't have them while I'm recording. As soon as I stop filming, then the tics get back. So I've had this since I was a child, and it gets worse when I have a lot of stress, which is most of the time these days. And when I'm not stressful, then I don't really have any tics either. So then I have periods where I don't have any tics. As of August 2015, I've been vegan. Now, it was one of the simplest and best decisions I've made in my life, and I will do a bigger video on this because it has to do more with health and fitness than the rest of this video, so more about that later. In 2012, I started my Bachelor of Science in nursing. Now, I didn't really think that I would ever become a nurse, nor did I want to become one when I was a child, but it was simply something that came on my path and I wanted to do something with health. I'm interested in health overall, not just fitness or nutrition, and therefore I chose this path, and it turned out to be a great one because after this I'm planning to do a master's degree, not exactly sure which one, but probably gerontology or something like health sciences. You may have already guessed this, but I generally choose a path that most people don't take. So I tend to make choices that a lot of people don't make, and they try to fit in. I, on the other hand, try to stand out. Not that anything is wrong with fitting in, it just doesn't fit with me. I like to learn foreign languages. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time for it right now, but I do speak Dutch, which of course is my native language. Then I also speak English. I know a fair bit of German. I can read and understand it pretty well. I could also understand and speak a little bit of French, which I also studied at high school, and then I've studied Spanish for about a year, which also happens to be one of my favorite languages overall. I like people that dare to be different. Now, this is kind of on par with what I said earlier on choosing my own path. I think that it is admirable if other people do that as well. I've been pretty hesitant about sharing the next fact about me, which is that I'm not religious. In fact, I'm an atheist. I believe in nature, I believe in myself, but I don't believe there is a God, and I especially don't believe in organized religions. Now, I'm also not spiritual, but I will get back to that later. What I think is most important for you to remember is that I don't judge you for being religious or not being religious. I judge you by the person that you are. So I don't see a religious person, I just see a person that happens to be religious, and that's how everyone should start looking at the world and other people, because I think there is a lot of intolerance towards those who believe other things. I mean, why can you not have a different opinion and disagree with someone without punching their head in and without getting angry with them? Just look at the person itself rather than what they believe or stand for. I have a 3-year-old brother who happens to be 20 centimeters taller than I am. Life's unfair. I am a morning person. I also kind of like evenings, but I really dislike afternoons, and I don't know why. It just happens to be that way. I'm only 172 centimeters tall, which is pretty short if you compare it to the rest of the Netherlands, which men having an average height of 183 centimeters, being the tallest country in the world. I dislike Dutch movies and series simply because I dislike the way they act. I think they really suck at acting. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of the Dutch language myself. That being said, I do love movies. I'm a big movie fan, and among my favorite movies are The Departed, Castaway, The Green Mile, and my most all-time favorite is The Shawshank Redemption. I think that Quentin Tarantino has some great movies and I think he's a mastermind, but my very favorite director is Martin Scorsese. Favorite color? Green. I tend to wake up early every single day. I'm pretty neat and tidy, and I like to organize things and put things in order. I don't like cars. I've never liked them, and I don't think I will ever own one, although I cannot say for sure, of course. My favorite type of music is classical music, but I also do enjoy some movie soundtracks. I sometimes also listen to the radio to pop songs, which I often also like. I think astrology and mediums are stupid and I don't believe in them. I'm not very nationalistic myself, meaning that I don't care about my roots. I don't really care about Dutch traditions either, but something that I do appreciate about the country that I'm living in is their tolerance, and this definitely shows when you know that the Netherlands are the very first country by far that legalized gay marriage, and also the country that was the very first one that legalized euthanasia. Now, I'm not gay, nor am I seriously ill, but I do support both of these causes. So, for example, I simply don't get why people are opposed to gay marriage. It's none of your business. Stop being a little child and let people live the lives that they want to live. So, if you're not gay yourself, but you do have an opinion about how wrong it is, then you are the one that is wrong, and you should shut up. Seriously. I've been on national television 5 times, I've been in multiple newspapers and multiple magazines, and I've been on the radio even. Yet only 3 people in the world have recognized me so far, which I think is pretty funny. It's also pretty ironic because I dislike media. I don't read newspapers because I think it's a huge waste of time, and I don't listen or watch the news. My favorite actors are Christoph Waltz, Tom Hanks, and Leonardo DiCaprio. I like old people. They can take a joke, they have life experience, and they almost always have interesting stories to tell. There are very few famous people that I would like to meet in person, but there is one exception that I would make for Jackie Chan. I think he's an amazing person and a huge inspiration to me, and if you happen to know him or if you happen to have connections, then please send me a message. At the beginning of my YouTube career, I did some sports education at a community college for about 3 months, but then I decided it wasn't for me. At least the level of education wasn't for me because it was way lower than I can actually manage. I have a rich inner world. I'm often very quiet, but that's because I'm thinking and I have a huge imagination, which is why I can think of stories very easily. I like to discuss very heavy subjects such as euthanasia and other moral questions because, well, it's more interesting to me than small talk. Which brings me to the next point, which is that I really hate small talk. I'm also quite the philosopher. I can think about moral questions or about life for hours after hours without getting bored. My ideal weekend is having no plans whatsoever. If you want to see me puke, you have to force me to drink tea. I really hate tea and I cannot understand why people like it. No offense to those who do like tea. And the same actually goes for coffee and also things like hot chocolate milk. I don't like any drinks that are warm. I just want cold drinks and nothing else than that. I am an autodidact in fitness, nutrition and flexibility. I've never had any formal classes in any of those subjects, but I did finish online courses in personal training, sports nutrition specialist. I also did a weight consultant or a nutritionist course and some other smaller courses. I was one of the winners of YouTube Next Up 2012. Now, a lot of my earlier viewers or subscribers probably know this, but since I've won this award, I've gained about 80,000 subscribers. So I think a lot of people are not familiar with this fact. I really dislike the supplement industry, which probably is not a surprise to you. I don't really like medication. Now, I do find it interesting to study it. However, using a medication for every single disease and illness that could have been prevented most of the time, it just doesn't get to me. As a kid, I was the fastest runner in my class despite being the shortest one. I am allergic to grass pollen, tree pollen, as well as dust mites. I have severe migraines a couple of times a year. With that, I have a paralyzed right arm, my face and actually my tongue and my neck are paralyzed halfway, and also I lose half of my sight. I see blinking spots everywhere, and I also have troubles speaking. I have a lot of difficulty understanding spoken and written words where I cannot even understand the word the or bad properly, and I also get nauseated as well as very dizzy, and to top it off I have a severe headache which is really very painful. And of course I'm also sensitive to light, sounds and smells. As if that wasn't enough. On par with not being religious, I also don't believe in karma, superstition, and I'm not a very spiritual person myself. I am, like I said, a philosopher, meaning that I think about things a lot more than people, and I think about life a lot more than most people do, at least in different ways as most people would do. However, karma, I don't know, if you do something good, then yes, something good may happen in return to you. However, that's not really selfless either. There is no such thing as selflessness, because if you help someone, you feel good yourself. So that's not really helping without any self-interest, it's helping people because it makes you feel good. So if you are having a positive point of view, and if you are very positive to people and help people, then yes, they may in return help you, but that's not necessarily the case. They may also just use you to become better themselves. So karma and superstition, I'm not a big believer in that either. And on that note, I would like to end this video with the following. Now, what I wanted to achieve with this video was that you will start thinking about certain things and about life in a different way than you may have done before. And hopefully I have achieved that goal. And I do think that I have offended some people, which definitely was not my goal, of course. I didn't want to offend anyone, but it's almost impossible to not offend someone if you're talking about some of the subjects that I've mentioned in this video. So what I would like to know from you is what you've learned from this video, what you thought was the most surprising fact, and also what are your opinions about some of the more heavy topics that I discussed in this video. Feel free to share it in the comment section below, but do keep in mind that I didn't want to offend you in the first place. The next video will be fitness, nutrition or flexibility related, just so you know. Anyways, thank you for watching, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.